Welcome to DC On Screen, a podcast about DC Universe properties on film and television, both past and present. Be ye warned, this and every episode of DC On Screen is spoiler-filled. If a show or film has been released, it is fair game. I'm your host, David C. Robertson, and this is my co-host, Jason.
Hello.
All right, guys, it has been 10 years since Batman Begins was released. Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of does. My memories of it have faded so thoroughly that it must have been a good 10 years. Or it was extremely forgettable in a combination.
I was actually... This week we go back and we revisit Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale in Batman Begins. I really could not fathom that 10 years had passed. It makes sense to me, but it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years.
Some of the graphics remind you that it's been 10 years. Just a couple. Just a couple. And this kind of review has been, a long time coming.
It has. We've made a lot of comments about the Nolan trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be hitting all those movies up. We're not going to wait for the 10-year anniversary on all of those.
That's 3 straight weeks of Nolan. So either you're welcome or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Whichever one applies.
Now, this is. I wish I could say that this is the movie that brought back the comic book movie, but it's not. Blade did back in 2000, and followed by the X-Men, and shit, we had a couple of Spider-Man in there,
Yeah, they did well in the theaters, but for some reason it seemed like it was just Tobey Maguire's cute. No one took it seriously for some reason.
Yeah, hey, so.
But the X-Men did well. Blade did fine. People started thinking they could maybe try to make a movie here and there.
Well,
And Jon Favreau blew the doors off of it.
Well, that was 2008.
I know.
This is 2005.
I know. It's
Batman
a step on the way to
it. Just to be clear. So Batman Begins. It was kind of weird for me. I went back and looked at my old blog because I knew I had written a review for it the day that I saw it. And sure enough, it was interesting to look back at that. Some of the same problems I have were listed in the blog. I did not just copy and paste it to talk about on the show.
You bothered to review 10 years worth of thoughts.
Yeah. My two big comments apparently in the blog were, I hate Christian Bale's Batman voice, and I miss the Danny Elfman theme.
Well, none of that's changed.
None of that has changed. But, geez, man. I actually even did the thing where you list the trailers that you saw in the movie. And, dude, the trailer for Serenity came out on this movie. The trailer for Dukes of Hazzard, and, ironically enough, the trailer for Fantastic Four, the first one, the one that just got rebooted, that's currently sitting at 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, is actually lower than the original.
No, the way I understand it topped out at 21%, and to my knowledge, bottomed out at 8%. Before, I guess, settling at 14.
Wow.
See, yeah, Fantastic Four is one of those things I know I'm going to see it. I thought, I'll go see it. Sure, we'll go see how that does. And then it started doing really poorly, and I thought, well, save myself $10. And now it's done so poorly that now I'm going to go spend that $10 again.
Yeah, you've come full circle.
Right.
God, man. I really... I did. I saw that too. I heard. I was like, there was something I was going to go see this week, and then I looked it up. I was like, Fantastic Four. Nah. And then like a couple of days later, I looked it up, and it was at 14%. And I was like, I kind of really want to see.
Now it's a car wreck, and I'm gonna go out of my way to drive nearest that lane so I can look at it.
Yeah, and a car wreck specifically because you don't want to say train wreck and get the wrong ticket. Right. There is an Amy Schumer movie called Trainwreck out right now,
which will probably serve you much better than the Fantastic Four movie.
Probably, I've heard good things. Now,
Schumer's got
Batman Begins. Batman Begins currently sits at 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. It made almost $207 million on a $150 million budget. I can't believe we even got a sequel.
No, that is... I mean, well, don't get me wrong. You made your money, but they usually want more than 57.
Right. I mean, they got more than that worldwide. This is a domestic number, but because of all the fees and everything with worldwide, domestic is always where it counts. So that's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that those numbers were that bad.
Well, and again, they're not bad. They're just not great.
Yeah.
And
and like 48 million of that was the opening weekend.
Right.
So
I did not contribute to that. It took me a few weeks to get around to this movie when it came around the first time.
I I did. I went. It had been, God, 97 since we'd seen any Batman movie. So yeah, and I loved Christian Bale because of American Psycho. I was on Team Bale until I saw the movie.
He,
All right.
and this is almost a black. He's a really good actor. And
very
man,
committed.
He goes.
He even should be
all the
committed.
way.
So committed, he should be committed.
Right. I mean, as a person, apparently he's a 5'7" piece of dick, but as an actor, he kind of kills it.
Supposedly, yeah.
It's not even like he did a particularly bad job at certain portions of this movie. Just there were certain choices that went way too far. Certain choices were, it wasn't the bat.
I think Christian Bale, like, I have never been one to lay blame on an actor unless they did a poor job. Christian Bale did a pretty good job. I say a pretty good job with the script he was given. I'm not one to sit here and say George Clooney ruined Batman. He did not ruin Batman. A terrible script, a terrible directions from the studio, not even from Joel Schumacher necessarily, ruined Batman and Robin.
Right.
So I'm not looking to lay blame on Christian Bale, except, I mean, if someone should have heard that voice and said, nope, he's a billionaire, he can afford a voice modulator, we are not doing that voice. He sounds like he has strep throat.
Yeah. And look, all right, and I watched very closely, and the voice isn't as bad at the beginning of the movie. It starts to get bad towards the end of the movie.
Well, and then at the beginning of the movie, it's more high-pitched and nasally.
Well, yeah, but and also they're kind of they're jumping around in time a little bit. He's younger and he gets a little bit older. It's only a few years, but he sounds a little bit younger. He's just kind of pitching his voice down a little bit when he's first in that in the outfit. And by the time he gets to the back end of the movie, it's straight up. It's that growl. It's the one, like, by the time he's in Dark Knight Rises, it sounds like he swallowed a frog who has a smoking problem.
Yeah.
Not good.
All right. So
but this is still why to this day we don't trust Nolan and Goyer, is they didn't say no. Someone whipped that voice out and they agreed.
Well, there are multiple reasons I don't trust Goyer and Nolan. But such as this opening scene of Batman Begins. Rachel Dawes and Bruce Wayne are little kids. They're running around, and Bruce steals an arrowhead from Rachel.
He does.
And falls down a cave. And the arrowhead comes back. What was the significance of the arrowhead?
Something about finders keepers.
Okay.
I think it's just, you remember that cute childhood memory we had when something really terrible happened?
No.
Remember how close we were?
No. Yeah, it's
remember that one bad thing that happened in our entirely overprivileged lives?
I just kept thinking that the arrowhead had to be of some symbolism because
that it should have been a Green Arrow movie?
Right? Like I'm sitting there thinking, like, did they think that they were making Green Arrow for the first portion of this movie?
No, the prop master got a bad memo for like 1 day's worth of work. He worked on that arrowhead, and screw it, we already paid him. We'll find a way. We'll find a way to get it in.
Or maybe they were setting up a Green Arrow movie. Like maybe like Rachel Dawes was originally going to like move to Star City and then like meet Oliver Queen and be like, a good man once
no one
gave
was
me
willing
this
to
arrow.
dream that big yet. We weren't
I know.
There.
It just made no sense. It makes no sense in the movie that he has an arrowhead, that they've stolen the arrowhead, that there's a thing with it. That's stupid. It's stupid. It makes no sense in the entire movie.
It was just a little silly. All it was just, like I said, it's just, hey, remember that time we did something. That's it. It's just a little token, a little non sequitur.
Well, one of the, we cut to Bruce in the prison fighting criminals. And the guy is like, I am the devil. And Bruce says, you're not the devil, you're practice.
Right.
I actually really like that line.
Hell yeah, you do, because it's a good line. And then
it's a good line.
The end of this, when they finally break up the scene, the guys drag him away and say it's for protection, and he says, I don't need protection. And they go, no, for them.
Yeah. That's one toke over the line, man. Didn't care for that.
No, that was still good. I was still on board.
No, that's action movie bullshit, man. That's one toke over the line.
Oh, come on.
Can't do it.
No, you can't get excited about your practice and then not care about that.
If they weren't so close together, I think I could. But
well, that's why they worked for me. You threw them all
in
in one little quick scene, and then we go off to something else.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're the one bit of fun because throughout the entire rest of this movie, everyone is a damn philosopher.
Yes,
like everyone speaks very eloquently,
right,
about fear and vengeance and justice.
And apparently, in whatever world
everyone.
Is, part of general curriculum for high school is turning a phrase 101.
Yes.
everybody in this freaking film knows how to turn a word around.
Yep. You know how like in like a normal movie, every once in a while, like one in every 3 or 4 movies, you'll have a character who said like the bad guy will say something to somebody and be like blah 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 blah, and then like later on when the tables have turned and the good guy gets to say the same line back to them,
In
and
Daredevil, it's take your
oh,
shot.
yeah, a taste of your own medicine. This film does it like
Just constantly.
6 different times.
Just constantly.
6 different times that I counted.
Yeah. Well, the worst the most grievous one to me is you never did you never did learn to mind your surroundings.
Yeah, okay.
That one's the worst
That
one
might-
for me. That was the top of my
Well,
list.
that one doesn't make sense. That just sounds like Bruce is like really struggling to get a good one-liner in.
That's exactly what it looked like. That's even how it plays. It's like the 14-year-old behind a locked door being told to go to his room, going, but your room.
Yeah, it does. It's bad. But like these people have an amazing ability. Like they can remember shit that they said in great detail years,
Right?
years
Yeah.
from when they said it. It's not what's underneath, but what you do that defines you. That was actually pretty. That was like a week. I'll give them that.
No, that one wasn't the one that
that
one
wasn't
wasn't one that
egregious.
bothered me. If that was the only one in the film, it would actually be pretty good.
However, the fact that Katie Holmes or Rachel says your father would be ashamed of you, and then like some 8 years later tells Bruce, "I was wrong when I said your father would be proud."
Yeah.
You telling me she's going to remember what exactly she said about his daddy?
Well, I mean, no, he might, because
Well, he would.
that's the kind of scarring line that you actually do remember word for word. But the person that delivers it is much less likely to remember that word for word.
Yeah, actually, sitting here in my notes, I've looked and noticed that you never did learn to mind your surroundings was circled like 3 times, and the others were put in like a little listicle. So apparently, I did find that one more egregious than all the others as well.
Right. Well, it's the one that comes up over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, by over
Except
and over,
for-
I mean
yeah.
exactly 3 times. So over and over.
But you also have, because someone will probably leave a comment or something and say, well, you only listed like 3. Okay. Well, it's all very technical that Mr. Earl says to Bruce when Bruce asks him who bought the remaining shares of the shares of the company.
Well, it's all very technical later. Yeah.
And then
Stock,
Bruce says
securities,
it back to him.
Blah, blah, blah.
Didn't you get the memo
Yeah.
when Earl
Because
fires Lucius and then Lucius fires Earl?
right, nothing will upgrade the classiness of your film quicker than some 80s sarcasm.
Right. Didn't you get the memo?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it hurt every time you heard it, didn't it?
Yes.
And
people were laughing in the theater, and I'm going, really?
Really? Well,
Oh,
okay.
oh, okay.
That's a 20-year-old line. Okay, never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Yeah. So way too many callbacks to why do we fall?
Why do we fall, Bruce?
Why do we fall?
And
All right.
I think if you took any one of this, short of the memo thing, that's just off the track. But a few of these, if you just taken them and that's all that you had, if that was the totem for the movie, any one of them I think would have been okay. I'd have been perfectly down. I mean, if we had just done the "Why do you fall, Bruce? Why do we fall, Mister?" If that was all that was, and you'd heard it twice, and they were at 2 good times, hell yeah, man, good job. It was just overuse, way overuse.
Yeah. So Bruce gets thrown into solitary for the other prisoners' protection, and Henry Ducard shows up. As played by Liam Neeson. As we know, he is Ra's al Ghul.
Of course.
And I do say Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, that's in my
Raz.
notes specifically.
Now, I've looked into it, and apparently Raz or some version of Ross is probably more accurate, but the creator says his name is Ra's.
That's all it is to it, man. Adam said he's
People-
Raish. Period. We're done here.
People tell me I pronounce my last name differently or incorrectly. They say it's Roberson, not Robertson, because there's not 2 B's. Well, I don't care what they say.
Right. That's how your name is said. Yeah, I just got to side with Adams.
Well, Adams and Denny O'Neil, yeah.
Out of respect.
Chuck Dixon and all those cats. Yeah, it's Ra's.
Yeah, these are the people who saved
Ultimately-
us from John Stewart having a really poor name. So
Ultimately, I always side with. I'm just siding with Paul Dini. That's all it is. Like I don't care what anybody else says.
end of the
It's Paul
day,
Dini.
what did Dini agree to? All right, we're doing that.
So Ducard, they rattle about anger outweighing my guilt, and I actually did like that line. My anger outweighs my guilt. They talk about fear and all that. bullshit.
There were some good one-liners. It's just
There were
a lot of
people don't talk like that.
no. I mean,
No one talks like that.
and Oh no. You would have to have time to work up dialogue to have some of the conversations they had.
Yeah.
You
Now all of this is intercut with flashbacks, and so many flashbacks is actually annoying.
Yeah, the only way you
I
can
swear
really
to
keep
God,
track
they're
of
like,
what time it is Bale's hair. That's really about it, because he has this kind of I don't know, 90s frat boy haircut there for a little while, and then he's got the short hair, and oh, okay, it's slicked back now. He's old. Got it.
I think there's at least, I want to say 3, but it may have only been twice and just felt like more. But I want to say there's at least 3 times in this movie where they cut back to that oddly pedophilic seeming scene where like Bruce's dad is like letting him listen to his heart with the stethoscope.
I didn't get anything pettery from that. No.
Well, part of that for me though is that like his dad is so creepy.
He is,
Like,
but
Thomas
he
Wayne
does look
is
like
so
Christian Bale.
creepy. He does a little bit, yeah.
It's good casting.
And I've seen that dude in other stuff, and he doesn't always seem that creepy. But like,
I didn't find him all that creepy. I really didn't. He kind of.
well, when you start to
looks
piece
noble,
together,
especially in the
it's
tubs.
like Bruce, we made this railway. We made this railway, Bruce, and we put Wayne Tower right in the center, so everyone could always remember who gave them stuff.
Yeah, that part confuses me though. Is Bruce really like 9 years old, and that's the first time he's ever seen Wayne Enterprises?
Right.
I mean, they make it sound like at the very least he's not very familiar with it.
And then later, when like Bruce's dad is a dick.
What
He knows his kid. He knows his kid is terrified of bats, so he takes him to a freaking what was it, deflator mouse something? I don't even know. But he takes him
operatic nonsense.
to an opera.
First of all,
where there are
don't take the
bat
kid to the
people.
opera.
Right. I kind of actually miss it. Like in the comics, it has always traditionally been that they went to see a movie.
Right.
And probably, well, since Frank Miller, it's always been like The Mask of Zorro. I could have dealt with it being The Grey Ghost. Starring Michael Keaton. It should have been The Grey Ghost starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
No.
Yes.
No, sir.
Just don't show it. Don't show it.
That is
Just
several
have
totes over a line.
No. Have it on the marquee.
Oh, God.
And like Bruce is really excited and like, yeah, Grey Ghost.
Oh, no. Then there's this tornado with sharks in it. Yeah.
No. That would have been great if they like walked out of the theater and Bruce is just like all like excited and he's just seen the Grey Ghost and Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, it's just the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson I can't do. No, but you're absolutely right. That part is important because they leave this theater and it entirely changes the motivation of Batman. Because one of the things I loved about it when he's a kid, he wants to go see this movie and he's so excited. And then as soon as they step out and walk through Rape Alley for some fucking reason. Why is the Opera House attached to Crime Alley? You've got graffiti on the side of the Opera House. Okay.
Well, in this universe, they would never call it Crime Alley because that's not realistic.
Crime Street? There aren't really alleys named that?
Um,
It's still going to be Murder Row. There aren't security guards outside at all.
Right.
It's just there's a back door that not even employees, not even food service employees at this establishment are outside smoking. That's how dangerous that alley is. That is impossible to find. But no, we're just going to stroll through. We'll be fine. Thomas, you arrogant prick. He didn't die good.
Yep.
He didn't die good at all.
Yeah, and he's even creepy when he's dying. He's laying there like telling Bruce, "It'll be all right."
No,
and
he tells him,
like,
"Don't be afraid."
Yeah, all that crap, and like it's like
Which is weirdly kind of abusive. Don't you cry. Daddy's gonna die now, but don't you cry about it.
I'm looking at his dad's face and the delivery of those lines, and I'm going, "That is the most frightening thing I've ever seen."
But
it's
no,
like his dad is creepy up until the end.
That is such an important part for me, that he leaves this movie that he wanted to go see, that his parents took him to because he was excited about, and they leave this theater, and he's still excited because he loves this guy, and then it's the last time he really experienced like actual joy.
Yeah,
that's his departure from possible happiness. That alley,
right? And
he blames himself because he wanted to do something. So it's the last time this kid has ever experienced anything that wasn't true discipline. Because the last time he remembered doing anything just because he wanted to, everyone died.
Yeah, that's a great point too, and it serves
really important
as a
to me though in the Batman mythos, and changing it now to. I mean, it's a fair take. It's just not as good to me because now they've changed it to he left. They had to leave the theater unexpectedly because he was afraid, and now he can't experience fear.
It totally turned it from like a Batman origin almost to a Spider-Man origin.
Right. And the fact is, no one points out in this movie that it's okay to be afraid of an opera. As he's a 9-year-old boy who already had a built-in fear, and don't get me wrong, I can get behind desensitization as a fear-based. I mean, the way I learned to swim was getting thrown into the deep end of a pool. I get it.
That's not okay.
Hey, I swam, man. I'm fine. I get the method. It's
you were one of the
perfectly
lucky
good.
ones.
Normally there's just a counselor attached, but it's a tried and true thing. And I can get behind it as far as that, but it's not his fault. His dad should have used the front door where they had valets and lights.
I know.
Kills the whole thing.
I think it's more important that Bruce was really into something, either Zorro or Grey Ghost or whatever, what have you.
Right. That he has some sort of vigilante mentor.
Yeah. Because it also,
mentor.
It also like strikes a cool little balance. Like it's foreshadowing the departure of family for the vigilante.
Right.
Like he chose to go see that movie to see the vigilante, and you get what I'm saying.
Right.
This thing where like Kid Bruce is such a bad actor, by the way. Like after seeing David Mazzow or whatever his name is over in Gotham, this kid is so bad. I don't remember thinking the kid was bad before. It's just like this kid is so bad.
He didn't. Like, I didn't even notice him. I was too worried about the adults around him to even notice the kid.
This kid is a whiny, weepy kid.
Well, he just lost his
scared of
parents.
Everything, and they're so. No, even
before
you're talking about before his parents.
Well, then he just fell down a well, got attacked by a bunch of bats.
He's like, I fell down a well. It's the bats.
I don't know. I can't say what I would do if I fell into a well and got attacked by a bunch of bats. At the very least, I'd want a shower.
Well, yeah, a shower. You don't want to lay in your bed for 2 months and cry because bats.
I can't imagine 2 months.
I mean, this is the kid that will grow up to be Batman. I'm sorry. I have a hard time.
Well, they're trying to lay the seeds for disappointment futures. Trying to get you used to the idea that Batman will give up every now and then.
Yeah, he lays in bed for 2 months because bats scared him.
Right.
Then he retires for 8 years because Rachel died.
Right.
You whiny piece of shit. All right.
We'll get to that.
So one of the things that confused me greatly in the movie, and they did get to explaining it kind of. There's a bit where Alfred is telling Bruce, they're in the plane, and Alfred tells Bruce, in the Depression, your father nearly bankrupted Wayne Enterprises combating poverty. And he's like, oh, did it help? And he's like, in a way, their murder shocked the wealthy and the powerful into action. I'm going, in the freaking Depression? What? Like, what year is this set in?
No. I thought about that, and
yeah,
the best I could come up with
on.
was some headcanon where apparently the Depression happened in like the early '80s. In this,
no. Later in the movie, they imply that. Well, yeah, they imply basically that the Depression was Gotham only, and that it was like in the '80s. Like they don't say that.
Well, he says they used economic means to attack Gotham this time. And
right.
The Waynes
so
fought
the League
back.
of Shadows, was involved in the Depression.
Of course,
they were the ones that started that. So okay, but when heads up, writers, when you refer to the Depression, I'm thinking of the damn Dust Bowl and shit. Like I'm thinking of like
I'm thinking
the New
Grapes of
Deal.
Wrath.
Yeah, I'm not thinking of like some random ass,
We're not talking about like
in the 80s.
Carter era people backed up at a gas pump thing. We're
right.
Incidentally, that was stagflation, not the same thing.
Right, but when you say the Depression, that makes me think, oh, this shit's happening in like the 60s somehow. Yeah, even though everything looks modern,
even though technology is doing great.
Right.
No, this is just a world where the Depression happened in the 30s like it normally did, but no one stopped Tesla, so transistors and whatnot came along much earlier. There are statues to Tesla still in Ohio.
So, yeah. So, over the course of this movie, let's see, Falcone, which is also a weird way. Everyone says Falcone. Everyone on Gotham says Falcone. I always read it as Falcone.
I did. Maroni, Falcone.
Because,
simple. You don't want it to be Maroni, Falcone.
Now, I mean,
it's not
I
a
know
fucking
if they were
Sesame Street sketch.
Right. And I know if they were still in Italy, it would be Falcone. But lots of Italian immigrants, when they came here, they dropped that that extra vowel sound at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been Falcone in my mind, and
As it should be, I think. But
everyone says Falcone
yeah, I don't know.
as like Falcone Island, where you can get a euro.
I agree, but at the same time, you insist
And
that
right
your
or
name
right.
is Robertson, so
I know.
I wasn't gonna
I know.
make
Just-
a big deal out of Falcone. Now, I prefer
It just sounds
again.
dumb. It just sounds
Yeah.
dumb to have a villain named Falcone,
I don't know.
especially when it's coming out of Rachel Dawes' mouth.
Well, sure, but everything coming out of her mouth sounds pretty much dumb. It was like watching a few fire logs that had been strapped together and given a script.
Mm-hmm.
She was not in good form. I don't know what good form for Katie Holmes is like exactly, but this was not it.
What did you think of Bruce taking the gun to that courtroom?
Not my bet.
Yeah, see, in my mind, Bruce would never pick up a gun after what happened to his parents. Not because some chick slapped him in the face.
Right. Well, not because of any damn thing. I mean, even in every version of that origin that I really like, it's not even that Batman has an aversion to guns. It's Bruce as well. I mean, he's a dual personality, but both sides of him fully agree that guns are complete cowardly bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That if you want to actually take someone down, you should be able to do it, by your own hand. And
Yeah.
reducing any kind of primal urge to a gun is just a coward shortcut. Now, that's fine. That doesn't, and I understand he wants revenge. I understand he wants to kill Joe Chill. But this isn't no version of that something I wanted to see. There were a lot better things you could do with that time.
Yeah. So the film glosses over where Bruce actually learned to fight. It wasn't with the League of Shadows because he can already fight really well, clearly.
I guess at Princeton?
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. They vaguely mentioned that he was at Princeton.
Well, yeah, and then he thought about shooting Joe Chill, and then Rachel slapped him, and then he got beaten up by some goons. By the way, Carmine Falcone, the guy playing him just hams it up, man. Like, he is awful.
He does ham it up.
He is awful.
He makes you
And,
really miss the guy from Gotham, doesn't he?
The guy from Gotham is masterful. He really is so
He
good.
He was subtle and dark and fucking intriguing. This guy just constantly explains to you what his role in the film is. Every word and action is constantly saying, "I'm the bad guy." See?
You're like, all right, check it out, kid. You got balls coming down here.
Right.
But here's the situation. There's a cop over there. There's a judge over there. There's a couple of other guys over there who could probably haul me in. And I
There's
wouldn't
the
give
worst
a
version
second
of
thought
Flask
about...
ever conceived over here.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't give two shits if I blew your brains out right now. Because I own this town, see? It's just awful. It's just awful.
It's very bad.
Um,
And no part of this scene works for me. Look, no version of Bruce would ever take a gun to the courthouse. First of all,
No.
Bruce would never pick up a gun, period. He's apparently well trained, even to the point he's well trained enough now that he doesn't need he can fight members of the League of Shadows.
Yeah.
He doesn't need
he
a gun.
Well, no, he picks up the gun before all of that because, like, he has the gun. He comes back from Princeton. He doesn't think he's going back. Then he goes to the courtroom. Someone else kills Joe Chill. Falcone has him killed.
Oh yeah,
Joe
that's
Chill
right.
killed
All right, so
because
it's in that
he's-
little interim, but when he goes off and learns to be a criminal and everything, that's when he learns to fight. Right. So at Princeton,
Yeah,
he doesn't have any
yeah.
fighting skills. Here, he doesn't have any
Right.
fighting
No.
skills.
Yeah.
All right. So even still,
like,
I don't think he'd pick up a gun. Period.
Yeah. I don't think he would.
Which
that's
very similar thought to it. I don't think you'd think to assassinate Joe Chill. Period.
yeah.
I don't know how to completely even argue for that. It's Batman. That's one of the defining features of this character is he does not choose to kill, and he could. So he
Right.
wouldn't go down there.
And-
He wouldn't take the gun down to a freaking courthouse because he wouldn't risk innocent life.
Mm-hmm.
That was never going to happen.
And see, one of the things that bothers me about it, and
How does
this
the courthouse
film-
in Gotham not have better security? By the way,
right? But, well, I mean, he is, Gotham's favorite son. I'm sure he just walks in there and go, "Oh, Mr. Wayne, well, of course, take a seat."
no. At the moment,
I
he
don't
was
think that's how the
Gotham's
real world
wayward
works.
son. He was just a.
Yeah,
They would have searched him for drugs.
probably. But, yeah, this is such a strange version of Batman to me. And the in my mind, I think they purposefully weakened Bruce, and they did it for the sake of a love story. And I know you know this trope where you have the hero who's the male character, and then they just throw in a female character for no reason other than to just be like the conscience of the character. That is all Katie Holmes is doing here.
Right.
They tried to give her more, but they really didn't do a great job of it. Like, she's just the conscience of the city, and I don't want that at all. Like, if anything, they would have been a tighter movie if you had Bruce, who decided, I don't want to deal with a gun. I'm not going to kill anybody, blah, blah, blah. But I want to stop this from happening again. There you go. There's your strong character. We don't need Rachel Dawes. We don't need a romantic interest for Bruce. We don't need... This is a person who never existed in anything else.
Well,
Why
that's
do
the
we
other
need
part
her there?
is if you're gonna give her that role, she's Silver St. Dawes. That's who she fucking is right now.
Right?
So if you're gonna do that, you go ahead and use the character that's already on the books.
Right.
You don't need to create a new character.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing it, you're doing it like you said. You're doing it just to give a voice to the conscience of the city and let him be able to reflect some thoughts. Bruce, even when he's just Bruce before the bat, is still an insular being. He doesn't trust anyone else to reconcile his thoughts for him.
Right.
There's never been a version of any Wayne, really, that was, extroverted enough to really ask other people for an opinion like that. No, he was going to have his thoughts, period.
This Bruce Wayne is basically Thea.
Yeah.
The reason he won't kill that farmer when he's training with the League of Assassins is because Rachel slapped him one time.
Right. Now that's one of the things that I actually liked about it is they keep mentioning compassion. That's another one of those just the runners throughout the show is they keep mentioning that compassion is what makes him weak, and he keeps using it as a separating trait from what makes him different from the rest of the league. I actually really like that. That's really good.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's the old argument, right? Why not just kill the Joker?
Yeah.
Why do you keep filling up Arkham, who apparently has revolving doors on the other side of it, just to have to fight him again?
Yeah.
Well, that's what makes him different. Compassion in the face of all logic.
Yeah.
That part I can get behind.
So, yeah, but at no point do I think that, like I said, it would be a tighter movie. It would be a better movie if Rachel Dawes did not exist. If you needed an assistant DA, how about Harvey Dent?
Yeah.
That way you get more time with Harvey. So in The Dark Knight, when he becomes Two-Face, guess what? It makes a little more sense and you care a little more.
Right. Could have had a whole thing going. Could have had 3 characters developed the whole time instead of just Gordon. And by the way,
there's no real call. I mean, unless you're doing straight up Selena Kyle,
right,
or Harley or Poison Ivy or something, an actual character that's there in the comics. There's no reason to start inserting just random women into Bruce's life to give him a conscience.
No,
Bruce is Batman.
No, and that's the thing. It kind of takes it away from me because I know where this ends, and I've said this before about Batman, and I know where that story ends. It's never going to be Batman lives happily ever after with a girl. It's always going to be he has to choose between the personal life and his vigilante life, and he's always going to choose vigilante. He's never going to. He's always going to push the people he really loves away. That's how a character like that is built, and you can only change it for a second. You can only change it long enough to do a story arc, and unless it's interesting enough, the story arc can't just be, oh, what if Bruce fell for somebody for a second? Because I don't give a damn.
Well, here's the caveat to that. In the comics and in animated series of some at times, there is a future where Bruce does wind up marrying Selena.
Right.
And their son is Robin, and Dick is, Batman or whatever it is, or Tim is Batman. And that's a fine ending to that life. Okay, cool. He gets a little too old to be Batman. He becomes like Commissioner Wayne or whatever,
right,
of the police force, and then
like a city council member or something.
Yeah, or he becomes like a mayor. Cool, whatever. But he's still Batman.
Yeah, that's the thing is, as an Elseworld tale, as a fascinating ending to something. Sure, man, great. Let's explore that one episode. And they've done that in certain episodes of shows that we've already talked about, where you get the little one-off. What would happen? It was fine, but it doesn't count. And right now, this is a movie about Batman beginning.
Right.
I know he's going to end up being Batman. I know he's going to push all these people who love him away. Just
the way I see it, unless it's Selena Kyle or Talia, if you're writing Batman properly, any other female brought in to be a romantic entanglement for Bruce, it does a disservice to that character. It does a disservice to the Bruce Wayne character, and it does a disservice to the female character you've created. Because if you're writing Batman correctly, because he has no need for that shit.
Right. It ends in tears, no matter how you do it.
Unless you're Paul Dini, and then, give me the Mask of the Phantasm.
Right.
And
then
make me
let
weep
me literally end it in tears, and we're good here. Now, it has to be, it has to be a good enough story, but you have to know that at that point that you're writing a story about something that's going to fail. You're writing a tragedy.
Yeah.
And if you take it seriously and take it down that road and really make me feel something, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Like Mask of the Phantasm, I never expected to be happy. That's a scene that, like, you hit me the wrong
Tears
day
you
with
up.
that, and that's going to stop my day. But
Yeah.
this didn't cut it.
No, not
Just
by a
not
long
enough.
shot.
Just not enough.
Not by a long shot.
All
right. So, with that, I guess I'll talk about Falcone and Crane want to kill Rachel. And so does the audience. Because she's digging a little too deep into Professor Crane's psychological dealings at Arkham, which is, by the way, in the Narrows for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arkham looks like a clinic. It doesn't look like Arkham Asylum. There's no. I guess they thought that would be too hammy or unrealistic. Like, this is going to be a broken down clinic in the
definitely
ghetto
not the worst
somewhere.
idea in the movie to actually make it a real building.
It's not the worst idea,
Not the
but
worst
it ain't
idea
the
in the
best
film.
either.
No, I mean, if you told me I'm going to take all the scariest, most insane people in this already criminally filled city and give them to you, where would you like me to put them? I'm not going to point at that big gothic ass looking building over there and be like, let's put them in the scary place. No, I'm going to find a big white building with nice, clean, clear walls, and let's put them here.
Nah, man. You got to put them out on the outskirts of town where that big castle is.
Right, with actual gargoyles on the one.
Right.
Now, gargoyles traditionally are on the outside of buildings to protect the people from the inside from them. See, I've always thought the gargoyles on the front of the Arkham Asylum should have been turned the other way around.
Oh, man. If we ever get to do a Batman movie, we won't, but if we ever get to do a Batman movie, that's what we're doing.
Just a quick little gargoyle turning the wrong way.
God, that's awesome. So, or at the very least, have like the gargoyles turn the right way, pointing outward.
Right.
And then someone just throw in a line of dialogue about the gargoyles, what they were meant to do, and like Gordon says, should have been facing the other way.
Yeah, somebody just while they're walking
just
through the gate
acknowledge
looks
it.
up and says, that's facing the wrong way, isn't it?
Oh, man. So Falcone and Crane want to kill Rachel, and which brings us to one of the most stupid things they did in the movie. She's an assistant DA.
Of course.
If Falcone and Crane didn't want to kill her, she would have gotten in her BMW and driven to the Upper East Side of town, or whatever it was, and that would be that. But because the film requires them to have a way to get to her, she takes like the shitty Wayne, the shitty Wayne train that Mr. Earl has apparently left to rot, right into the damn ghetto.
Of course. Where everyone either lives or has to go through to get to where they live.
Yeah.
I mean, all the people that show up at Bruce's party, his birthday party, for instance, I don't know where they live. They didn't
Not
show
in the
me
Narrows.
anything like that.
Yeah.
A couple
they
of
don't
wide
live
shots.
in the Narrows.
It's not there. Anyway.
Now, I guess I'll talk about this now. Mr. Earl.
Batty McBatterson?
I don't...
Batty McBatterson?
Rutger Hauer. This dude is just a dick for no reason. Like, he just is. And they don't actually ever really explain why he's a dick to Bruce. They don't really explain why he's a dick to Lucius, except that Lucius caused problems.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently
ask
he's
too many
just-
questions, that's all.
He's just an angry capitalist. That's all he is.
Right.
He's just an angry, greedy capitalist. Mr. Fat Cat.
He's one of the people you're supposed to remember hating.
The old trope.
When the riots happen 2 movies later, you're supposed to remember, oh, and that guy, I didn't like him either.
Yeah.
They're all like
By the way, was it just me, or was like you've read Year One, Frank Miller's Year One.
Sure.
Jim Gordon was a badass.
Sure, yeah.
He's taking down guys in the police department who are corrupt. This Jim Gordon.
Look, in Year One, in one night, he gets his ass beat by like 4 officers, still puts up a fight, and decides to, beaten ass and all, go find Detective Flass, pulls him over on the side of a road, beats the shit out of him, and leaves him to bleed. I believe, I believe it was snow. I forget what the scenery. It wasn't pretty. Leaves him to bleed, and the thought bubble kind of going away is there's no way he'll ever report it. He won't. His reputation can't take the hit. This is a calculated, card-carrying bad man.
The Jim Gordon in Batman Begins is a complete coward.
He was really interested in the Bat toys.
Yeah,
Like he's supposed to be the childlike, connection we have in this film. That's just not right. I mean, but, all right. Then again, if his big nemesis is Detective Flass in this film, like his big nemesis is a guy who looks like he modeled himself after John Belushi in Animal House.
Yeah, we have a guy who has just taken, a bribe, and Flass walks back to the car and gets in with Gordon. And he's like, "You want a taste?" He's like, "No, I don't do that." And he's like, "I keep offering and offering, and I keep thinking, you're gonna take it. Blah blah
You're
blah."
gonna wise up.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna wise up. And he's like, "There's nothing wise about what you do, Flass." A good line. I will say that.
Yeah.
But he's like, guys like you make guys like me nervous. Think maybe you're going to rat. He's like, who is there to rat to anyway? You coward. You snivelly little shit. This is not Jim Gordon.
I'll give him an out on that. It's not like it's not like he's participating. He's being brave enough to not play, which in that town is its own right to die.
Yeah.
So he's not a complete coward. He definitely lacks a plan. This isn't the ambitious Gordon that walked in and decided he was going to take care of this before he ever figured out there was a colleague out there, a fellow in arms.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, Gordon, without Batman, Gordon was already going to try to fix everything himself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're doing in Gotham right now, and it's one of the cool parts of the show. Is just
not in this timeline though. Not in this movie.
No, you can like
Gordon's
the Gotham and the Gordon that's in Gotham right now. You can barely fit his ball sack on screen most of the time. This guy does not have that problem until the second.
The guy in Gotham, he's got so much sack that he has to walk like a cowboy.
Right.
Like
he gets kind of carried by Dolly to from scene to scene. But you're right. Like you pointed this out, and it's the Gordon story. He's the only one they develop that much. He's the only one they spend that much time on. They don't spend that much. I mean, of course they spend a lot of time on Bruce, but something actually kind of. The way they focus on Gordon, he's the one that you end up relating to more, and he's the one that at the beginning of the movie he's got absolutely no hope, and by the end of the movie he's the brave face of change, and he's got as much story to tell, maybe more than Batman by the end of this film, and then
well, he should, but as it is, he's just a big coward.
Right.
Who sits around waiting for Batman to do things.
Right.
They did. They basically made like the thinner, younger version of the Pat Hingle version from the old 89 Batman movies. Like, he's just, I don't know what's happening, but there's Batman.
It wasn't as bad as like
Sad Man.
Batman 66 or anything, but it was...
Oh, man, Batman 66, they actually literally have a scene. Like, I think it's the first episode, like, Hi Diddle Riddle, where they're like, yep, it's the Riddler, all right. And, like, the Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara are standing in the office with, like, in the police headquarters with, like all of their, like, lieutenants and everything. And they're like, is there any man here good enough to defeat the Riddler? And all of the cops just hang their heads. And he's like, And he looks over at the bat phone. The show's so great, man. If you guys haven't seen 66, Batman 66, that shit is hilarious.
Go ahead and waste some time
great.
on that. It's going to be great. They're a delight. I've forgotten most of them, and then you go back and you'll find one maybe on TV somewhere, or hell, AMC is taken to airing them sometimes on Saturdays, and you run across an episode and you just can't help but finish it.
Yeah, and a scene like that, like right out of the gate, that's some like Simpsons, Futurama, Family Guy type shit right there, man. That's that's clear, just like, oh man, that's just brilliant comedy. So, it's an hour. We are an hour in when Batman actually shows up. And
we're 45 minutes in when the bat who inspires him to go find that cave and bat it up finally shows up.
Right. So,
and he does. He just looks at this bat trapped in his foyer, and he suddenly has the whole idea.
Yeah.
They really there were a couple of quick wink and nods to year one here, but it wasn't quite
very
right.
Quick wink and nods.
It was by no means like a year one reach around or anything. It was just a quick how do you do.
So Batman shows up at these docks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Falcone is there, and Flass is going to make sure that everything's all right. They got the cocaine and the teddy bears and whatnot. And we actually get, for the first time, a proper Batman sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the guy goes over
Complete
to
with ass kicking.
Well, when the guy goes over to the over to the big crate, and then you see him putting a thing in there, and all of a sudden he just inexplicably gets sucked into the crate. That shit is horror movie shit, and that is exactly how they should be treating everything Batman does when he takes down criminals.
Right.
Like they should be doing that every time. That is just I could
Like
see
Falcone finally like rushes back to his car, and the driver's been knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
It's
Man.
supposed to be the kind of thing where if you're out there, criming it up in the middle of the night, it's supposed to be wall to wall fear.
Yeah.
You look around and it looks like 5 men have attacked you, and none of them are real.
Guys are getting sucked into the darkness. There's a dude walking around with a gun, going screaming, "Who are you?" And then Batman's just behind him and goes, "Here."
Right.
That was awesome. Now, it is followed by maybe the worst fight scene I have ever seen in any movie. It's like Batman in the middle of like a whole group of guys, and it looks like they like shot it from far away and then realized that there were boom mics in the shot or something, so they blew it up.
Zoomed and panned
Or
accordingly.
something. But it's just like real herky-jerky camera movements, and it looks kind of fuzzy, like it's not good resolution for some reason.
No, it looks
you
like
just
if it had a
see-
less flare, I'd suspect that Abrams was brought in to direct that scene.
Yeah, it's got like, you have like a bunch of guys just hitting, and you can kind of see like a Batman's head, like in the middle of it, and he's just kind of herky-jerky, like you don't see any of the action. It went from the best Batman scene we've ever had to the worst Batman scene. In like a matter of seconds.
I know.
By the way,
Again, foreshadowing your experience from movie 2 to 3.
I know. But by the way, one of the worst lines in this movie, I hate, because when he decides to, like when Rachel slaps him and he goes sees Falcone, and then he comes out and he decides like in that 2 seconds that he's got to throw away his entire identity and go train. He gives that bum his jacket. They trade jackets.
Right.
So, flash forward 8 years, and that same bum has not aged.
The jacket
In
clearly
8
has.
years. The jacket has, but he hasn't.
Right.
And Batman looks over and goes, "Nice coat."
Yeah. Yeah.
So awful. That's
and you
awful.
just the poor guy just, thanks. It's bad.
And
it's bad.
actually, that's a good point. Gordon, Falcone, Alfred, and Commissioner Loeb don't age.
No, they already just kind of look old. Oh, plus Batty McBatterson. He doesn't either.
Yeah, well,
Bell
we don't
doesn't
see
age
him.
either. It's just his hair. Like I said, if it's forward, he's young. If it's back, he's old. Period.
That's true.
No one actually bothered
But-
doing any kind of aging for this thing.
When I'm looking at Commissioner Gordon or Sergeant Gordon or whatever you want to call him, and Commissioner Loeb, and Bruce is 8 years old, and Alfred is there, and Bruce is 8 years old, and then
I don't
he's
know.
30 years old, and none of those guys have aged.
I agree.
I don't
just
believe
sometimes
that.
you don't question it. It's kind of like I know those people that like once they got to be 35, that's what they looked like, and it takes another 20 years for the graying process to set in. But at 35, that's what they looked like. Period.
Nope, don't buy it.
I know those people.
I don't buy that every adult in Bruce's life is
one of
freaking
those
Dick
people.
Clark. No, no, that's not working for me.
They're all using Demi Moore's leech treatment every night.
Yeah,
It's working wonders.
yeah, that doesn't at all make sense to me. It's awful. It's just, I mean, even on the animated series, when they flash back like 5 years, you saw they would color Commissioner's hair. Like Commissioner Gordon's hair would be like a light red, and then back to the normal. It's white. Cool.
Right.
They didn't really, and then like you jump forward in like another 2 years, and he's very gaunt. He's gotten visibly older. They did this in a cartoon. We're talking about $150 million budget movie. They can't give me Commissioner Gordon with a few more lines. They can't give me a graying Gordon or an older Falcone or.
Well, I mean, you remember like every time they have to age Superman in the drawings, you just give him like 2 little crow's feet and a little silver patch on the side of his head.
Yes,
On the side of
because
each head.
he's immortal.
Right.
He's damn near immortal.
He's not actually immortal. He's just going to
No,
last a
but,
really long
you know,
time.
When they have, well, he's Superman. If
Right.
he's going to have a couple of gray patches on his head and a couple of crow's feet, and Bruce is going to be in a damn wheelchair.
Right.
And decrepit.
Just this side of dust.
So yeah, no, I'm not giving that. I'm not giving. Just giving that to them. That Gordon, Falcone, Alfred, and Commissioner Loeb don't age at all in this timeline.
I can agree. I really can.
One of the great lines, though, Alfred telling Bruce to start pretending to have fun. I did enjoy that, and that's the first time we've really seen that version of Bruce in the movies.
Well, I know, but they do this scene twice where Alfred wakes Bruce up.
Mm-hmm.
2 scenes where he wakes him up, and the first time he's a whiny fucking 13-year-old. Bats are nocturnal. Oh, come on, man. Come on,
I
dude.
take that over. I do take that one over Michael Keaton hanging upside down.
Okay, all right. Any day,
like Vicky Vale wakes up, Bruce is hanging upside down
of those
because of
evils,
bats.
but they're still
because
evil.
of bats.
I understand. No,
like you have
the
sex
whole
with a
bats are
chick and she wakes
nocturnal
up and you're
thing.
hanging upside. Okay.
Come on. And then once you get past the bats are nocturnal, you had the other thing where at some point Scarecrow gets the best of him, which I'm fine with. He doesn't know who Scarecrow is yet. He hasn't dealt with aerosolized weapons. Okay. So Crane gets the upper hand on him for a second. Well, he spends 2 days in bed. They wake him up, and it's still every time they wake him up in bed, it infantilizes Batman somehow.
Yeah,
I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
I see him as a guy who can wake his own damn self up. I don't know.
Well, okay.
Modest
okay.
expectation of a Bruce.
To be fair, Alfred often wakes Bruce up in Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And that's Paul Dini.
I don't know.
I have no problem with Alfred waking Bruce up.
Look,
my
favorite
version of that.
I get it. It's just they always shoot him with well, that's actually the problem. They shoot it the same way they put him in the same kind of bed that he's in when he's a kid, and he won't get out of the bed because he's afraid. It's what it makes me think of every single time they shot that.
Now, my favorite version of Alfred waking Bruce up was in Beware the Batman, the short-lived CGI a series where like Bruce is asleep and he wakes with a start because he realizes someone's in the room, and then suddenly a bat comes down and he has to get out. He gets out from under it right just in time and starts like fighting whoever it is, and it turns out it's Alfred.
Yeah.
It's just part of the training. Like Alfred just attacks him sometimes.
No, that's it's an amazing thing in those black and whites that we thoroughly recommended finding.
Yeah.
There's that wonderful story where all it is, the whole thing starts with Batman, just rushing through the city trying to get back. He pulls every trick he's got out, and he finally does get all the way back to the Batcave. And the whole time it looks like he's being chased down by some enemy you've never even seen before. And he gets back there. He's bruised. He's broken. Literally, I think one of his ribs is broken. He's in poor shape, bleeding all over the place. Equipment damaged to hell and back. And he finally gets back there, and Alfred kind of congratulates him, and Bruce asks if he wants to go again. It's apparently a yearly training exercise.
Yeah.
Where Alfred uses every weapon they've got against him to see if he can beat his own arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wonderful little one-shot guy.
Great stuff. Okay, so
you want to do Crane?
Yeah, Cillian Murphy or Cillian Murphy, however you say his stupid name.
Whatever the Irish are saying, do that.
This guy thoroughly believes that he is in a Joel Schumacher movie.
He missed that train.
This guy he's a good actor. I've seen him in lots of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I
Dude's
like
stellar.
him.
Dude's absolutely stellar.
Here, he's Uma Thurman.
I don't agree. I don't. He is.
Oh, man.
He is not the one chewing through all that scenery there. I think he's actually got a pretty subtle performance most of the time.
Oh, man.
No, look at his conversation with Falcone over in the asylum right before he turns him nuts. It's actually relatively subtle.
He's even got the glasses, man. Go back and look at Batman and Robin when Poison Ivy is being Pamela Isley.
The answer is no. I will not go back and watch that film.
We will go back and watch that because we're going to review it one day. Due diligence.
Uh-huh.
But when you go back and look at that, you're going to be disturbed because he's got the glasses. He has I will call it a false calm demeanor that she did when she was acting like Pamela Isley.
I remember the attitude. I do.
When
he's so much better on a face like Murphy's.
No, I disagree. When he's Scarecrow, he's like, it's the Batman, and he's like twitching his head and doing like weird like head movements and stuff, and like crouching and like creeping around.
We have to separate this though. We have to separate it. When he's in Scarecrow mode and somebody's been hit with his poison, I can barely understand what he's saying half the time, and it's all Bizarro world anyway. So I got a problem with that. You can't really overact that scene.
Oh, he's fine when he has the mask on.
Right. Now, when he's doing the scene you're talking about, which is at the end when they've actually, well, it's not even the end. When he's at the bottom of Arkham's basement, whatever the hell that is. By the way,
Yeah.
I don't know why the basement has the sewer line for the entire city running over it, but
I don't know why the water just doesn't flow out of that hole.
another big problem.
Pipes don't
I
work
don't
that
know.
way.
I don't know how water flows well enough to defend this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that if you take a highly pressurized pipe and blow a chunk out of the fucking side of it, it doesn't just keep going in one direction. Pretty sure
Yeah.
somewhere there's a city employee with a job to do.
Yep. That's not, and it doesn't stay that way for weeks.
No, it has been. It's been weeks. He's been anyway. But while they're down there, Batman shows up and he gets all excited. Oh, the Bat. Yeah, great. All right. Yeah, I agree on that one. I don't like that take. But for me, that's the Jonathan Crane acting like Scarecrow, because he has a transition from being Jonathan Crane, creepy dude, to Jonathan Crane, guy we realize is creepy dude with high credentials in the crime world, to Jonathan Crane, guy who's kind of going crazy now and believes he's the Scarecrow, to just plain Scarecrow. And Jonathan Crane, when he's just Jonathan Crane, I think he did a great job. I actually do. Played just fine for me. He's a creepy looking motherfucker anyway. Like Cillian Murphy has the kind of eyes that if you ever meet him in a back alley, go the other way as quick as you can.
Sure.
Once he starts transitioning into creepy guy with a high end job in the crime world, he's still to me doing a pretty good job. Like I really actually like that scene with him and Falcone. I thought he played it pretty well.
Yeah, I was okay with him until I started seeing him.
Defend. That's where I have to separate it.
When he starts getting all like kooky and stuff,
then it gets
actively bad.
Then it gets weird.
But then once I've seen that, now that I've seen that, when I go back and look at those other scenes, it's there. It's there, but subdued.
Well, that's exactly where I wanted it, though. He does it. He did a good job with it, where it's there and subdued. Now, when he starts to try to get it out of it doesn't work. He ends up just being odd. He's not even droll. He's just weird.
It's bad.
I do want to point out that the phrase psychotropic hallucinogen is incredibly redundant.
By the way, what does that drug do to people?
Best guess, and best explanation I've ever seen in any of the books is the amygdala's job is to mitigate the flight or fight response and basically mitigate your fear responses. And I say amygdala as the main one. There's plenty more. Don't get me wrong. But
okay, I'm saying in this movie, the drug is so all
well. That's
over
what
the
I'm
place.
saying. In this movie, its job is to kick in the response system that asks you if you're supposed to be afraid, tell you yes, you're supposed to be very afraid, and then kick off the part that's supposed to turn off that's supposed to be able to make you rationally deal with fear. That's all it does. It's just a jump start to your entire fear process. So that part actually stands pretty much close to what I've always understood his little fear toxin to be.
You know what would have been really cool?
Giant throbbing fuck you to the amygdala.
When he gasses Falcone, I think it would have been cooler if Falcone just laughed. Like if Falcone actually, this is a guy that runs a city. He's a mob boss.
Well, I know, but there's no one is a match for that kind of brain chemistry.
So I don't know. It seems like Falcone wouldn't just sit there and scream. It seems like this is a dude that's gone up against the roughest and the toughest and has come out on top.
Right.
This is a guy who's going to see like a new challenge and be like, yeah, I'm afraid, but this is going to be fun.
I would have really preferred kind of a catatonic state, just him to just clench his face with absolute mindless fear, and then maybe one tear out of the side.
Yeah. Speaking of catatonic
that would have welcomed
states,
from here.
Speaking of catatonic states, Crane shows Rachel what they're up to, then gives her an incredibly, ridiculously lethal dose of this drug. She passes the hell out. Like, she's just in, a catatonic state until Batman, carries her limp ass to the Batmobile. Then suddenly she's awake because the filmmakers needed someone to respond to all the crazy-ass shit that Batman was doing in the car.
Well, that was probably the point of her being in that car, was that she was, like you pointed out, she was supposed to be the voice. And now that we've created her, she should go on an adventure with Batman. Yay! I
think it's dumb.
I think it is dumb. I think it was incredibly dumb, and I think no matter what you showed me in that fucking basement, it is not going to be nearly as scary as getting in the car with Batman right now.
It was nearly as dumb as the giant microwave machine.
Right. I mean, sure, it vaporized all the water in the city, but everyone's Pop-Tarts were already done the next morning.
Right.
They just woke up to a fresh Pop-Tart.
By the way, if this thing is an inhalant, why aren't people going crazy when they make macaroni and cheese?
Well, think about, for instance,
boil some water.
If you drink tea, if you're a proper tea drinker, you have tea leaves or at least ground tea or whatever. Anyway, you also have a teapot probably. Well, Basically, anyone who's boiled some water recently should have already been experiencing panic and extreme responses.
Yeah.
Think about there's probably a few saunas with some steam baths. Yeah, this doesn't work. It just doesn't fucking work.
So it doesn't.
It's
it really
a
doesn't.
it's a fatuous plot at best.
Yeah. By the way, I guess it was supposed to humanize him, but there's this weird scene where Batman's nice to a kid.
Right.
A kid who's like
Tosses
apparently
him
now
little...
on Game of
What
Thrones.
does he toss
by the
him
way,
to?
but I don't know.
It's
it was
dark.
some
I
sort
can
of
never
a
tell.
piece of equipment.
Looked like one of the things off his belt, one of the compartments.
Yeah.
And what's he supposed to do? I mean, he wants to go. He's going to go prove to the other kids that Batman's real.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
so
it's only 2005. I'm sure cameras still could take a picture of 05. Let him take a quick shot.
So Earl fires Lucius, who, by the way, I really wish that he had, like, why do they just make it out like he knows everything already? Like, as soon as Wayne comes in, he's just like, "Oh, you're Batman." Like,
No,
his whole demeanor, like,
Yeah,
Morgan Freeman.
He catches on to it pretty quickly, and he specifically says, if I don't know anything, I don't have to answer any questions, but don't think of me as an idiot.
Yeah.
So now they have this tacit understanding. Well, that's fine, but you're right.
Yeah.
He comes in way too quick off that starting mark.
Yeah, it's like Bruce comes down there and he's like, "Hey, I just started at the company. It's my dad's company." I know. Okay, well, cool. And then you've got Lucius sitting there grinning like, "And you're gonna become Batman."
Right.
Like, he just has this look on his face like, I've read the rest of the script
Yeah.
the entire time. And I'm guessing they were like, hey, what do you want me to play here? Morgan Freeman. Oh, so I should just act like I know everything inexplicably? Yes.
That's exactly it, Morgan.
Okay.
Thank you. We
Can't
want you
get
to be
behind
wise
that.
beyond your years. That's what we want. But I'm
And
already
I've said
kind of
it
old.
before.
Exactly.
I've said it before. I like it better when Batman actually knows how to put this stuff together himself. He doesn't like in the comics. Yeah, he did kind of raid some military stuff that Wayne Enterprises had been working on.
You need a couple of
and-
shortcuts, no doubt. And using the R&D wing using the R&D wing, having a Lucius, I'm fine with all that. I agree. Now I don't mind it if he's got someone that works on this stuff for him, but I don't. He doesn't have to be the originator. I just want him to know how it works. Like, if the Batmobile broke down on the side of the road, I feel like he should be able to fix it. I don't want him to
completely
call
agree.
Lucius, it broke down. What do I do?
What broke down? My car. Which car?
Right. Are you doing that thing I don't know you do right now? Yeah, kinda. Okay, so where are you? I don't know. I'm in the Narrows somewhere. I jumped off a lot of buildings. I lost track.
Because the Narrows is the only part of the city where crime happens.
Right. Until the third film.
Real quickly, popping back, Bruce is at this hotel, and his companions, I guess we'll call them, are swimming in the fountain.
His lady
And
friends.
he chooses to buy the hotel by stuffing a check into the waiter's pocket.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's not how business works.
Windmills.
Yeah. Did you just sing windmills?
I did.
Good job.
It was deserving.
So
You can't. It was one of the more silly things, and there were several things about it that are silly. First of all, you can't. I'm pretty sure that the waiter is not actually an authorized signator on the building and probably can't transfer ownership. Second, they didn't exactly negotiate a price, so we have to assume he tossed him like a couple $1 billion. Fine. I mean, he's got it. Whatever. This is all to go swim in a pool. And the craziest part about it to me is that the people at the table with him, once he buys this hotel and wanders off to tramp in the pool with a couple of lady friends, continue their conversation as though nothing happened. There's not even a like, "Oh, Bruce." Nothing. Fucking nothing.
you scamp.
Right.
Yeah.
They just kind of, "Oh, yeah, it is Thursday, isn't it?" Bruce always buys a hotel from a waiter on Thursday.
Well, they don't really go back into that conversation because they're too busy having him walk out with those women, and then there's Rachel who just happens to show up at the same time, and he has to get all strainy and weird and say like, "This isn't really me, Rachel. I know it looks bad, but
Right.
I'm not having sex with them women, and I'm not drunk, and please
Definitely
still love
not out
me."
being a playboy. You know what I did like about this that scene though? Bruce stops to tip
What's
the
that?
valet.
Yes.
A proper acknowledgement of service workers and the need for tips. I love it.
Yep.
So even the Playboy version of him isn't, a dick.
By the way, one of the worst lines in this movie, and this is almost directly after the big car chase sequence, which I'm pretty sure. I'm glad Alfred said no one was killed, but I don't see how.
Yeah, exactly.
But one of the worst lines is like Rachel's in the Batcave and she wakes up and he's like, "I know you just woke up, but I'm gonna sedate you again, and then you're gonna have to give these vials to Commissioner Gordon or Sergeant Gordon, and you're gonna." But he makes some comment that he was like, "If it wasn't for the antidote, your mind would now be lost." That phrase, "your mind would now be lost," that stood out to me as even worse than the rest of the dialogue in this movie.
No, it compared to Katie Holmes being otherwise wooden, it was petrified wood. It were bad. I agree. That actually may make the top of the list for bad lines. Because as much as we didn't like a lot of the lines, they're still perfectly good lines. We didn't like how much they overused certain things, but they're still actually good on a sheet of paper. That one's just plain weird. And there's another weird thing about that scene. He gets in there. There's 2 vials. There are 2 vials in this whole thing. You've got one that's supposed to be for Gordon to inoculate himself in case of burns.
Right.
And you have one that's supposed to be used for mass production. And then he brings both of the vials to her.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't he get one of the vials to Lucius, though? I couldn't figure it out at exactly what the path of the mass production vial was.
Maybe he said to get one of those to Lucius Fox. I don't know why he couldn't give him to Lucius Fox.
It seems like he could probably do both. She just went through a hell of a lot of drugs. He's been there. He slept for 2 days after he was drugged by him. He pretty much wakes her up, puts her back down, and then gives her shit to do. A little presumptuous, I thought.
Yeah.
I did like that he knocked her back out. And I actually did like that she took it well, because she was like, oh, yeah, well, obviously you have to knock me back out, because I can't do it.
Right.
Which I would completely understand the utility of that. If I was her, I'd be like, well, I understand, but I would still try to talk him out of it. Do you not have a sack?
I'm gonna knock you back out because in like 2 days' time, I'm gonna say something that you once said to Bruce Wayne that'll make you think that I'm Bruce Wayne.
Right. He's fucking itching to tell her the entire movie. He's just champing at the bit to try to actually get her this damn knowledge. And then this time he puts her down. It seemed weird. It seemed entirely
All right.
weird.
So jumping ahead to the big 30th birthday party for Bruce.
Mm-hmm. With yet more turns of phrase.
The thing that I really enjoyed the drunken
Bruce being a
rant.
dick, that was good stuff.
That was fine. That was awesome.
Good stuff.
I enjoyed it right up to the point where, oh, okay, cool, big reveal. I knew it was going to happen, but big reveal that Liam Neeson is Ra's al Ghul. Okay, cool. As soon as I saw him, they were like, oh, he's Henry Ducard. I'm like, no, he's not.
Do you see that mustache? Don't fool yourself.
Right. But he's burning the place down. He's burning down Wayne Manor. And he says, you burned my house and left me for dead. Consider us even. Mm-hmm. Bruce didn't do that. I mean, he burned his house, but he
did,
a lot of stuff to keep him from dying. Like,
he didn't quite leave him for dead. He left him with
he saved him from falling off of a cliff.
He did. Which
he carried him down a mountain.
Torn both of his pecs off of his chest.
Right. I don't think there's not enough leverage in the world to make that happen.
That is one hell of a butterfly, man. That is one hell of a butterfly press.
Hey, yeah, so he takes him. He leaves him with an elderly Asian gentleman to nurse him back to health.
We are supposed to believe is a doctor of some kind. I don't know.
Why not? He's elderly and he's Asian. Isn't that just the stereotype in movies? Like, if he's on a mountain and he's Asian and he's old,
and he lived in a hut, that part's true.
He can get some,
and he did have something boiling when he got there.
Right, he has something boiling. He's got some herbs and one of those little bowls with the little knobby handle thing that you can crush stuff up with.
Right. No, he does basically leave him with an old dude and peace, good luck kind of thing.
Right.
And we didn't exactly verify that it was a doctor. So, yeah, for all we know, we left him with, the town's, the village rapist.
Right.
And,
it makes me think that old Asian dude didn't, live up to his word, though, because he told Bruce, I will tell him you'll save his life. Cool.
Right.
Except I think maybe he didn't.
As soon as he woke up, the old Asian guy was like, so I was walking up near this place, and it exploded, and I grabbed you. I'm so awesome. Give me money.
Right. He was like, that Wayne guy was
that Wayne guy. You know what he did?
Dick.
He flicked you off and he went. I saw him walk away. I don't know. Some white dude. He was just he threw you the finger and he was left. It was weird.
He
specifically was like, fuck. What's your name, by the way? Ray. He was like, fuck Rage. Yeah. See?
Right. So I don't know if it's completely. I mean, I feel like we needed another scene of that all happening for Raish to get the idea that Bruce left him for dead. But whatever.
I mean, he left him where he could have potentially died. We know that at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is slightly annoying, but it's definitely better than I left you than being left, falling off the side of a cliff. I don't know.
Right.
It was one of those weird motivational plot points that makes no damn sense.
Yeah. And so he's about to go and wreak vengeance or justice, as he would put it, on Gotham.
Of course.
And Alfred, one of my favorite lines,
harmony,
though.
By the way, another line.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines is when Alfred is trying to get Bruce out from underneath that burning plank of wood, and he's like, "What bloody good are all those push-ups if you can't even leaf a log?" Like,
and he does. He gets this like, log. You know what, British dude, you're right. Heave ho.
I did enjoy that, and
that was
good. They jump into the little elevator and go into the Batcave, and then we get another freaking callback. Why do we fall, Master Bruce? And a cut. Then Bruce looking into the distance, and we see him remembering once again the damn stethoscope and his father.
Of course.
So back to over to Gotham. Raish and his men dressed as cops go in the Narrows. They've got the microwave emitter. Rachel goes into she demands to go across the bridge into the Narrows. No one asks for any credentials. She's like, "I'm assistant DA," and the cop's like, "None of my business." He stops her, and she's like, "I'm the assistant DA." "Okay, cool. I'm the Queen of England. Do you have credentials?" "No, none of that.
Right.
Just, all right, go ahead."
Well, the cops
she goes
are
over
not
there.
A vigilant sort in Gotham.
I know, but she goes over there and she finds like all these cops, and she's like, "I need help," blah blah blah. 'Cause she's got the little boy that Batman ran into. I don't know why she has that little boy.
Of course she does.
They just ran into each other in the Narrows.
The only kid that lives in the Narrows.
Right, the only kid who lives in the Narrows. And runs into this kid, and they go looking for the cops, and of course they run across the Ra's al Ghul cops. And then somehow Scarecrow just runs up for no damn reason at all. Like, everyone's just running into each other in this Narrows. It's like, this place has got to be huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Scarecrow just inexplicably shows up on a horse.
Yeah, on a horse too.
And from way far back, like he was way far away, and then and Rachel says a thing. I don't remember what she says, but she says a thing, and then Crane rides up on the horse and responds to her. I'm like, how did you even hear her, dude? But whatever. And best thing about all this terrible coincidence, this movie coincidence bullshit winds up being the best part of the movie, because he's giving this speech about fear and blah blah blah, and Rachel just tases him in the face. Just shoots him in the face with a taser, and he falls over limp on the side of the horse and just screams, and the horse runs off, and he's just screaming in the distance.
That is by a very long shot the most likely thing that would happen in this film.
Yeah,
big
that
long
is
speech,
my favorite.
Taser, motherfucker, and then man cries.
That is my favorite part of the movie. It reminds me so much of a scene from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where she's fighting vampires and she's like, "This is getting too easy," blah blah blah, and she walks away, and the camera pans over to Spike, who is standing there. He's like, "Oh no," and he gives this great dramatic villainous speech about how he will drink deep, and as he turns dramatically to walk away, he falls into an open grave.
Of course.
That's what it reminds me of. Just Scarecrow giving this great villainous speech, and just right in the middle of it, she just tases him in the face, and he just falls over limp. Oh,
and it is. It's this. It's a really bad scream. You remember that? I forget. I keep forgetting the name of this scream. They used it in Star Wars, and it's become an industry joke now. Every time you blow something up, you do that.
Yeah. What is it? The Wilhelm scream.
I think so. Yeah. And it sounds like he did his own extended cut version of the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
Run away.
Yeah.
Or trot away. Or be dragged away by a horse trotting
away.
No,
it's But yeah, that's my favorite part of Batman Begins right there.
Right.
Just Scarecrow getting tased.
Yeah, there's an extremely confusing part to me in the middle of the
in
the middle of this. All right, you go back to the party,
Uh-huh.
And this older lady comes and introduces
Yeah, who the hell was
Rage.
that?
I don't know. She comes, she introduces Rage. The guy turns around. He's like, "You're not Rage." And then he turns around and there's Roz, whatever. And then he turns around and there's Liam with all his mustachioed glory.
Mm-hmm.
You watch in the background and like quietly this old lady and the Asian fella just sort of just stroll away. They just sink into the background of the party like together.
Yeah.
They seem to have brought her to act like a socialite long enough to get into the party, just long enough to grab Bruce to bring him over to this guy to make that scene.
Yeah, it's real weird.
It was odd.
It's real weird.
It was odd.
Almost as weird as how Batman could just glide around over the Narrows that's full of like steam and gas and know exactly where he's supposed to go.
Of course.
Oh, here's a thing that's really annoying. Batman explains everything that the microwave emitter is going to do, that's going to run down on the train and blow up those water mains and disperse the gas throughout the city. Not 5 seconds later, we have an old guy explaining the same thing in great detail. Who's looking at the mains, like who's actually working at the water company or whatever.
Yeah, he's the asshole who's been ignoring a giant alarm somewhere on his computer that says water main pressure value lost.
Yeah, he's like, those mains are gonna blow. I'm like, yeah, we know.
Right,
Batman told us.
We just discussed this, and Batman said it, so we're taking it for word here. We said, no, but you don't understand. They're gonna blow. I get it, dude. I get it.
Right. Oh man.
But I'm a regular guy with a family. I understand there are stakes. I get it. Thank you, film. Thank you for pointing out that people have stakes. Appreciate it.
Right.
I don't even
Oh.
know. I mean, and I don't even want to get into, the finale. Gordon being just a child at an arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, why don't you get into that?
Well, that's actually it. It's almost just not worth spouting on. He's a child at an arcade. He gets,
and even the lead up is bad. Can you drive stick?
Yeah. All right, see, when those scenes, those little lines, can you drive stick? Nice coat. Were we just trying to do a nod at the previous Batman films? Were we just trying to say, like, no, we understand, campy, ha 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 ha? No, that didn't work. Fucking put it in the
Some of these
coffin.
lines. Some of these lines are worse than some of the Schumacher lines.
Yeah.
Like the line in Batman Forever, "I'll get drive-through." Oh my God! I know they put that in there because they knew they had to deal with McDonald's, and they used it. They used it. I remember those commercials.
Oh yeah, of course they did.
Now the one I actually like, oddly enough, is Batman and Robin, where like Robin is like, "I want a car. Chicks dig the car," and Batman just goes, "This is why Superman works alone." That was good. That was good,
Yeah.
in Batman and Robin. But
by that point, you were already kind of waiting for a joke because the whole damn film was.
yeah, you're not wrong.
Now, and then the whole finale, the whole climax, blah, 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 subway fight, blah, blah, blah. And the reason I say blah, blah, blah is because the subway fight between Batman and Rage at this point is actually much less interesting than, say, the training, whole section of training. I thought it was a lot better fight on the ice.
Agreed.
Looked better, a lot more fun to it. You could see everybody move around. Got to play with swords, all kinds of
We got
fun.
the thing where Gordon is shooting the railway, and Bruce is like, "You never did learn to mind your surroundings," which is the callback to what Raish told him.
Twice.
And awful. It makes no sense. Makes no sense.
No, how was he supposed to be aware of that surrounding? How was he supposed to know that he had a guy that was about to shoot out the subway system? Whatever, freaking whatever. Now they made a point to do the same shot and do the callback to the gauntlet, and see, this is actually something I really like about how they have Rage treat him and how he fights is he every time he attacks him, as he's attacking him, he's calling out the style that he's using and just mockingly referring to the style. Like he's beating him with ease and giving him a kindergarten. I like that. That was actually really cool. Same thing I liked about Arrow when they had Rage. He's just toying with these people.
You know, Liam Neeson, they actually did. They wanted him to come back as Ra's al Ghul on Arrow, and he said he would have done it.
Happen.
He said he would have done it.
Damn
but,
right he would have done it.
He said he would have. Liam Neeson was going to be on Arrow. He wanted to be on Arrow, but he had another film commitment. But he actually did say that he wanted to do it. Huh?
He had to go kill some wolves.
Yeah.
I couldn't have dealt with it. I really didn't, because it would have bothered me that this movie was part of the continuity. Would have pissed me off.
Yeah.
That's the part that
it
would have
wouldn't necessarily make it part of the continuity, but
it would be enough.
Weird.
It'd be a little weird. That's St. Elsewhere-ing this shit. That's what that is. And I won't stand for it.
All right, so
the line
one
itself,
of the most controversial.
Oh, go ahead.
one of the most controversial things in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe not as bombastically controversial as Superman snapping Zod's neck in Man of Steel,
Mm-hmm.
but it is Christopher Nolan, and we do get something similar.
You all remember it.
I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Right.
Which is kind of fun to watch, but...
the line fooled me. The line fooled me for about 20 seconds. I heard the line and thought, that's really good. And then about 20 seconds later, that's how long it took me to deconstruct it and go, wait, no, that's terrible. Hold on. I was wrong. I was fooled by the phrase.
Yeah. Batman would totally, punch Ra's al Ghul in the face, knock him out, grab his limp ass, and do exactly what he did, but with Ra's in tow.
Of course.
Unless,
same way he did with Falcone at the beginning of the film.
And it was almost like they were actually saying this to the fans. Like, look, we don't have a good way of Ra's getting away with the setup that we've done, and we didn't think about it, but we realized that Batman doesn't kill.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. That sound right? Okay, cool.
Can we do that?
That'll work. Batman didn't kill him.
Right. This is the same thing I was talking about with the Arkham games and leaving those poor bastards
I was
in a
about
puddle
to
of
say,
water.
and Batman didn't drown those poor men.
Right.
When he neglected to pull their faces out of the water. Let's just...
It is. Look, the bat wreaks havoc. It's what happens. Think about how many thugs he's taken down in his day, and probably a couple of them were just taking.
You know what?
Just taking a couple of bad turns.
Screw all this shit, man. Let's just do let's have that's what I want for my Bat Fleck. That's what I want for Bat Fleck. Let's just do straight up Golden Age, snapping some necks,
snapping a neck with a
shooting. Shooting dudes in the head with his gun that he has in his holster on his side. Golden Age Batman. Let's do that. Let's get Batman grabbing chicks and going Papa Spank. Let's just do all of that right now.
You know what? You have fun with that, and you have fun with your movies that I won't watch. I hope you enjoy them, you selfish prick. No fucking way I'm watching that movie.
You know you'd be the first in line for
I'd be the first in line
Batman.
to what? No, what it ended up being is, even if I go to BVS and he actually pulls out a gun and shoots somebody in the head with a sniper rifle, you're going to hear me kind of go, all right, dusty trail it is. Get up and walk out of the theater.
You're not going to get up and walk out of the theater.
The hell I'm not.
We have a podcast to do.
Yeah, and I'll explain how enraged I am.
He shoots a dude through the head.
It'll be the most single-minded, myopic podcast I've ever performed. But that's what'll happen. Damn it!
He shoots the dude through the head. We see the brain fly out of the head, and he just looks over and goes, "Rubber bullets, promise."
Right. I'm walking out of that film.
Oh, I'm so afraid for the future of the podcast now.
No. What's going to happen is I'm going to walk out of the film and find you still in the parking lot, or at least you'll find me 10 minutes later when they announce that it was Dick Grayson that died. We'll go weep together in the parking lot.
Yeah. We'll go have a beer.
Right.
and thusly cry into it.
I'm going to go have a pint, and when they ask me for a refill, I'll say, no, that's okay. I've filled my glass with bat tears. And I'll drink them.
All right. So Batman Begins. We we have this bit where okay, everything's hunky dory and everything's fine again. And Wayne Manor is burnt to the ground, but hey, what are you gonna do?
No, he's gonna rebuild it brick for brick. That's what he's gonna do.
He's going to rebuild
just
it
the way he
brick
found
for
it.
brick.
And what he's gonna do to do that is he's gonna get a $12 hammer.
Uh-huh.
And he's going to walk right into all the wreckage with all the smoldering wood, and he's going to apparently put it together nail for nail while wearing $450 worth of clothes from J. Crew. One of the dumbest fucking shots I've ever seen.
That sounds right. And
just him out there with a hammer like damn Farnsworth.
Well, good news, everyone. I'm going to rebuild the mansion brick for brick.
Turn it into a giant man-eating robot.
And Rachel comes by in her expensive high heels
and somehow doesn't break a damn ankle getting to him.
Right.
No.
She can afford very expensive clothing, but apparently not a bra, by the way.
Right.
It's frosty out there by Old Wayne Manor.
Well, there's it was already a bit nippy. That's why they had the big walls and the gates and all the ivy.
Right. So she pulls an ollie, does the dick thing, and kisses him. and then tells him, you know, you're not the man I love. Yeah, the man I love died years ago. This is your, and she gives him a bunch of bullshit about a mask. Like, this is not
Actually,
your,
that's not one of the
your
that's
mask.
not one of the things I minded is if that speech by itself, you know, the pointing at Bruce Wayne's face and saying this is your mask. Hey, perfect, you nailed it.
That is a concept. That is a concept I want to see played out on the screen, not ignored the entire movie and then mentioned as an excuse for why some chick can't bang Bruce.
Right. Yeah, I can get behind that. I mean, that's why
Rachel is
that's
full
why
of shit, and the
Conroy's
movie didn't.
Batman
the
works.
movie ignored that entire concept. The movie ignored that entire the affectation he puts on his voice when he's Batman. No, the Batman voice is supposed to be his real voice.
Right.
Bruce is the affectation in every way. But at the end of the day, he's out there at Wayne Manor like, "Oh, I'll be with you, Rachel."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you whiny bastard.
Yeah.
And he's like talking about maybe one day when Gotham doesn't need a Batman. And apparently, like, that conversation.
It always reminds me though of like when you're breaking up with somebody and you know it's kind of one-sided and you're like, well, maybe one day we can try it again, right? You know, maybe like we can keep that on the table, right? Come on, dude. It's over. Take it. Yeah. Just go ahead and start the next chapter of your life.
Yeah. Bruce doesn't.
We've all been there. I'm sorry, dude.
Bruce is a little slow on the uptake.
Right.
For someone to be Batman.
Well,
and by the way,
this is not a quick-minded guy. A hell of a fighter, mind you, but not quick-witted.
There's a reason they never showcased any of his actual detecting abilities. He is not a detective in this movie. He just bumbles around. He doesn't pick up, you know, what she's putting down, you know, about how she's like, well, I mean, I've always wanted to kiss you, so, all right, so now that's out of the way, and it was kind of weird. It was like kissing my brother, so I'm going to come up with a bunch of bullshit about how, you know, I fell in love with Bruce Wayne, but, yeah, Bruce Wayne doesn't really exist anymore. The mask is the Bat, and the mask is the Bruce Wayne, and Bat is okay. Which would have been a fine sentiment if we had actually seen any of that in the actual movie.
Which is a fun twist on, it's not me, it's other you.
Yeah, which really I just translate into being like, okay, so you're kind of psycho. There are so many other ways you could, like, honor your parents' death and, like, benefit mankind without putting on a Batman mask and gliding around the city. Mm-hmm. Not down for that. That's kind of weird, Bruce. Right. That's really weird. And I signed on to play a real girl.
No,
I'm not like a Chase
you want her to
Meridian
tell
or
him, like,
anything.
okay, you want to help the city, right? Check. Okay, you want to hit people, right? Okay, go sign up to be a UFC fighter and donate all your proceeds to the to the Wayne Foundation.
Right.
This is how Rachel approaches it. No, I'll set up the paperwork and everything.
Yeah.
We'll get you your own 103C. It'll be fine.
All right, Batman Begins. What do you think? How close did it actually come to being an actual Batman movie?
More than 50.
More than 50?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not the worst one out there. And there were parts of it that were there. Like his relationship with Gordon. Granted, neither side of that coin is where I wanted it to be, but at least there is a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's an important one. They do bother developing a few things. They go into the Bat Arsenal. Watching him actually play with his toys the first time, pretty fun.
Yeah,
like, the look on his face when he sees all of Lucius's equipment. This all sounds weirdly homoerotic when I'm saying it out loud. It's actually that's I would be just as excited looking at all this, like, fucking millions of dollars worth of R&D. And he's thinking, oh, and it's already mine. Watching him get to build the equipment and build the persona, you know, at least they did it. At least they took an honest swing at it. Again, yeah, we could have done without Rachel Dawes. I understand, though, that they wanted to give him kind of they wanted to show him being human and then show that he couldn't be human. Well, okay. But we just didn't need to make that big of a deal. We could have just cast someone that wasn't, even Katie Holmes has a name, that's bigger than the character that I would have required to do that role.
That's one of those weird things for me, like where she was actually more like, we don't know who Rachel Dawes is. We know who Katie Holmes is. So the entire time I want to call her Katie Holmes. And I have the same problem for
And
Dark
she doesn't
Knight.
exactly like take me away so far as an actress that I'm buying the character. I'm like, oh yeah, Katie Holmes playing so and so.
Yeah, we're not talking about a Meryl Streep here.
Right.
To me, I feel like, Nolan wanted to ground this character in a way that made sense to him, and he was just around 30 years old when he made the movie, and I feel like he was just like, well, I mean, a guy like Bruce, he's going to want to be with somebody. Realistically, no.
Right.
No, I mean, maybe, yeah, but in my head, Bruce doesn't really get around to that ever. Like Mask of the Phantasm was like actually the perfect point in his life where he would, and Dini and his team really nailed it in the DCAU because it was like, okay, he's a young guy, he comes back to Gotham, he's about to start his war on crime, and oh yeah, this girl from my past. Oh man, I didn't plan on being happy. Then you flash forward to when he's like 60 years old.
They didn't.
He's 60 years old and he's looking at old pictures of kind of girlfriends that he had and going, what could have been.
Right. You see him actually kind of almost imagining what he could have, the life he could have had. No regret, really. Just, a little bit of sympathy for the loneliness he feels. Fine, perfect. But what you just described, though, he comes back to town, and right before he starts actually, starts his war on crime, he meets a girl from his past. So far, that's just Batman Begins. Problem is, they, in the DCAU, they made you care about this character, and they made you care about their relationship. They made it fucking cute as hell, is what they did. And over here, man, I don't care. I don't care one bit.
Yeah.
And take away my problem, my ongoing problem, that it's facile to me to give him a relationship, because you're not ever going to really do anything with it. It's like showing me an unloaded gun. I don't care.
Right.
Unless you're in pistol whipping range, we're not talking. So
yeah.
Take that problem off the table, and you've still got, if I give that up for now and just watch this film, you still didn't make me care. And that was just because you didn't give me enough good scenes. Like that scene with the airhead is not enough, dude. That is not enough to make me think, oh, how adorable. Those 2 8-year-olds should definitely grow up and have sex. That's not happening.
Yeah. Like at best, this is a girl that he knew when he was a little boy.
Right.
And they pretend he goes off, he grows up and goes off to Princeton. And apparently, like when the Waynes died, well, it was just Alfred then, because they show that scene of him looking out the window and Rachel kind of waves to him. Doesn't even say a proper goodbye, just kind of waves to him and they leave. And purportedly never to return to Wayne Manor in any kind of official capacity.
Right.
This is only slightly less egregious than if they'd actually had Bale reading a Superman comic and scoff and throw it aside and go, that's bullshit.
Right. And they meet each other again so far later that if clearly there's a Facebook or something where they were able to keep up and put the name with it, because he by all rights could have walked right past her and not noticed that, oh yeah, that was that girl I played with like every day when I was a kid.
Yeah, and they hint that there was that they remained friends and stuff and blah 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 blah.
They remained acquainted. But it was kind of.
You know what? Take out all the Rachel Dawes stuff. Make it assistant. DA Harvey Dent. Make Gordon a badass. Tell his story. And all the time he took up, with Gordon and Rachel, just make it all Gordon and assistant DA Harvey Dent. I'm good.
Yeah, they could have done this. They could have done, instead of what they did, they could have done a combination of kind of parts of The Long Halloween and that origin of Harvey with parts of Year One. And, man, you'd have fucking been happy.
They could have gone over Year One and The Long Halloween. And, oh, man, that would have been.
That'd have been your boy right there.
That would have been my sweet spot right there. Yeah.
And then you still would have been able to, and they do you remember watching this the first time and you see the Joker card at the end and think, oh, yeah. Then you heard it was Heath Ledger and thought, oh. And then you saw it and thought, yay. Anyway, that roller coaster aside. But they did. They set it up for a lot of joy. And if they'd given you that kind of movie where we just actually introduced characters that we knew already, because there's, come on, man, there's a few hundred IPs attached to this character. Just grab one.
Yeah. I mean, they screwed up Scarecrow and talk about facile. I mean, jeez.
And it tortures me. It tortures me every single time because Cillian Murphy looks like he'd be a great Jonathan Crane.
Yeah.
And I thought his Jonathan Crane was actually great. I thought his Scarecrow was fucking terrible.
I'm just sitting there going, dude, where was Jeffrey Combs?
But you always think, where was Jeffrey Combs? And most of the time you can respond to yourself going, oh, over there, because he's in dead.
Yeah, most of the time I can respond over there. But yeah, most of the time I do think, where was Jeffrey Combs? And I'm always right. I'm always right.
Like Cillian Murphy would have made a great Scarecrow done correctly. I have no problem with that guy as a choice. He would have been, oh man, he would have been good.
Well, if Christopher Nolan isn't going to rein him in on being realistic, who the hell would?
I don't know. Apparently Peaky Blinders is kind of killing it. When you actually let the guy be Irish, he just knocks it out of the park.
He kind of does.
Tell me one time. Now, granted, it's such a deep Irish that I can't understand half what he's saying. I watch a lot of British television. That is just not enough training to get into the deep Irish stuff.
One of my favorite movies is gosh, I'm not going to remember the name of it now that I've said it's one of my favorite movies.
Of course you're not. I remember though it was him and O'Brien
Cole
from
Meany. Yeah, yeah. Cole Meany and Colin Farrell,
Mm-hmm.
and it's I mean it's deep track. I can't remember the name of it. I don't know why I'm blanking on that right now.
Hey, we'll leave
I'm
it
over
there.
here looking
Somebody
at
will
my
figure it out.
DVD wall, and I'm pretty
That's
sure
enough
my
names.
girlfriend has that.
There's a good movie with those three actors involved. It's worth the time.
Yeah, but I need subtitles to watch it. I can't understand what they're saying.
Right. No, but Cillian Murphy would have made a fine choice. I just wish they'd done more. Liam Neeson, hey, come on. What's he ever ruined? I've seen Liam Neeson in many things. I've seen him in many things I didn't like. It's never his fault.
Right. I'm confused by his existence. I'm like, ooh, Liam Neeson. Oh wait, Liam Neeson.
Right. I know.
It's a little like the Christopher Walken syndrome. Like, you don't pick good roles, and I think you do it on purpose, but I'm not sure.
Just trying to stretch himself as an actor.
It's like Neeson grew up just wishing he could be Chuck Connors or something,
No, Neeson, like everybody else of his
Chuck
era,
Bronson.
grew up wishing he could
Chuck
be James
Bronson.
Bond.
Chuck Bronson,
what they all.
Death Wish. Look at all those Taken
Yeah, that's a
movies.
good point.
This is like he's just like, oh, the Death Wish. Oh, I love those movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good. No, they're not. Liam, stop.
No, they're
Well, I was in that awful Star Wars movie. I might as well just
action
whatever,
crack.
you
I don't know. Overall, though, what I'd say like 60% bat.
Yeah.
It's about 60%. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't round down. It doesn't round up.
It's a boring movie.
It is largely a boring movie.
Batman Begins. I'm not sure I wanted to see him begin after all.
No, and don't get me wrong. They took a lot of these problems and they fixed a lot of them for Dark Knight. They created a few more. But as a movie, it's a much better output than what you got here.
Yeah, I mean,
once you get to the Dark Knight, it's it's closer to the Bat. It's closer to what makes a good action movie in general. It's even got good aspects of what makes a mystery. It ends up being just an actually good film with really good acting, and we thought there was hope because we thought we saw a trend. But hey.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this review of Batman Begins and for this episode of DC On Screen. We are DC On Screen, and you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. Go and give us 5-star ratings and some good reviews over there. It'll really help us out. We're also on Facebook and DCOnScreen.com. If you want to check out some Marvel stuff, go check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast hosted by Matt Carroll and Jeff Randall. They're our friends. They're our buddies. So go give them a listen. We are going to be coming back next week, and we're going to do our normal news episode, and then we're going to do The Dark Knight,
as we've said.
And I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be a good time.
I don't think it'll be quite as hateful as this.
It won't be quite as you won't know hateful until you get to Dark Knight Rises. But hey,
that's true menace. That's what I feel when I remember that movie.
If you have any opinions on our Batman Begins cast or anything we've done, leave us some comments. We'll get back to you on the show. Mm-hmm. We hope to see you next week. Until that time comes, put some DC on your screen. I know we will.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Are you struggling to lose weight and keep it off? Tired of wasting time and money on starvation diets that lead to more frustration and stress? If there was a weight loss solution that could actually work for you, would you try it? Then head to Golo.com.
I'm Steve. I lost 138 pounds in 9 months on Golo.
I'm Amber. I've lost 128 pounds with Golo.
If you're ready to take back control of your life, head to Golo.com now and see how Golo can work for you. That's Golo.com.
My sleep is way better. My inflammation has gone way down. Golo saved my life. I was way overweight. That's what sent me down the path. I wanted to make sure and live for my kid.
I have literally tried everything. I was on the verge of getting gastric bypass surgery, and I saw the Golo commercial, and it was the last thing I tried because it worked.
Join over 2 million people who found a better way to lose weight with Golo. Your healthier and happier life begins at Golo.com. That's GOLO.com. Again, GOLO.com.